let's talk a little bit about the offseason and what your team has done. I know Darrelle Revis was making the rounds today, said when he heard that you made a trade for Tim Tebow, he said to himself, what is going on? What was your first thought when you heard the Jets traded for Tim Tebow?
It was actually kind of crazy because there was so many. I mean, it was so unexpected. It just was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. This is crazy. And but that's how we do, man. We always have these unexpected moves sometimes, and we'll see what happens.
Tim Tebow said at his media availability that he has spoken to a few Jets. You were one of them. You've worked out with them. Give me your first impressions of what you think of Tim Tebow thus far.
We just met, like I said, in the weight room. I don't really have a lot to go on other than our first encounter. Like I said, seems like a nice guy. Obviously, he's done some great things with the Broncos and, when he was at Florida. So it'll just be interesting to see how that can complement what we do here.
Rex Ryan said at the NFL owners meeting he wants to give Tim Tebow up to 20 plays a game this upcoming season. Said they did not consult with Sanchez at all or give him a heads up when they made the deal. What do you think is the message then they're sending to your quarterback?
It's kind of interesting. I think it's going to be, an interesting transition when you have a guy, and then I guess when he's supposed to play so much in the game. It's weird. I think it's definitely something that maybe we're trying something new, and we're going to try to have a variety of things that we attack people with. But again, this new marriage, I'll say, is going to be it'll be interesting for everyone, I think.
I think the big question many Jet fans want to know is, do you think this is something that Mark Sanchez can handle from a mental standpoint? I know that Darrelle Revis said there wasn't enough support for Mark Sanchez in that locker room at the end of the season. Do you think now that you have Tim Tebow looking over his shoulder, do you think this is something he will be able to handle this upcoming season?
Mark is a fighter. Mark is a leader. I think he will handle it. I think it is a difficult situation to have a quarterback, like Tim Tebow right behind you. But I think at the same rate, Mark, this is what the league is about. I think Mark's definitely going to step up to the call and continue to excel. So I don't believe that this situation will be to anyone's detriment.
Do you think Mark Sanchez now has that support? It seemed like he didn't have it at season's end. Does he have it now of that locker room?
I mean, as a team, personally, I support Mark. And like I said, bringing in Tebow, I don't know how he may feel about that, whether that is a supportive move or non-supportive move. But, I think a lot of the teammates in the locker room do believe in Mark. I think the anonymous caller who said all those things about Mark maybe was more stressed about how the season ended and not necessarily and vented in a difficult, a poor manner, I would say. But I think everybody really rallies behind Mark. He's been our quarterback for the last 3 years. We've been to 2 AFC championships, and we just had a down year. I mean, I think if everything was in reverse and we kind of had a 8-8 season coming out and then had 2 back-to-back AFC championships, this would not even be a discussion. But I think, like I said, it kind of ended poorly later in his third year, and like I said, we didn't do our best last year. So, I just think it gives a lot of people reason to just point fingers.
Antonio Cromartie was one of the Jets who was very vocal, especially once the deal was done, saying that you guys, and in his tweet, didn't need Tim Tebow, didn't need that kind of circus, especially in your locker room. What do you think?
I mean, it's definitely going to be a little bit of a circus. I mean, Tim Tebow is a great quarterback, God-fearing man, and, he has a lot that he brings, off the field with him in the locker room. I mean, it's just something that we'll have to deal with. The media obviously is going to, love that. I just think the media is going to love it, as far as, him and Mark and everything that has to offer. But like I said, at the end of the day, we're all professionals and we have to, go about work and do our jobs. And, hopefully as a team we can obtain our goal, and that is to win a championship.
You know, one thing I thought was interesting, even at the NFL owner meeting, Rex talked about at the very beginning of last season, you guys tried to throw it a lot because you felt like you had so many toys on the outside. That didn't work. Then you tried to go to the running game. That didn't work. Now you guys have brought in Tim Tebow. You're going to do some Wildcat yet, and still you're also going to play Mark Sanchez. Has this team lost its offensive identity?
I hope not, and I think we're establishing a new identity. Obviously, we've made some coaching changes over this off season, losing a great coach in Schottenheimer and a great coach in Bill Callahan. And with Tony Serrano coming in, I feel like he had his own identity, and he has yet to, establish his identity with us, with the Jets. So whatever we kind of put out this season will be our identity, and hopefully it will work for us in the sense that we can continue to build on it and get us, further in the postseason.
You heard Tim Tebow say that he came here to compete. Do you think it's really a matter of time before he becomes your starter?
I can't really make that comment right now, just because it's so new. I don't really know. Did they bring Tebow in as a true competition? I don't know if it's just to add the Wildcat. It's kind of hard to tell what's the mindset now, but again, so Mark has my support, and I think Mark will step up to the challenge, and I think he'll do great. I have no doubts in his abilities.